Thank you for that speech. We now head over to the first speaker for the opposition, Reverend Rose Hudson-Wilkin. Reverend Rose Hudson-Wilkin is the Bishop of Dover and has oversight for the Canterbury Diocese. She has previously served as chaplain to Queen Elizabeth II and was the first woman to be appointed to the position of 79th chaplain to the Speaker of the House of Commons in 2010. She has previously served as a member of the General Synod of the Church of England. You have the ears of the House.
Hello, I recognize that I'm in an academic environment, but I'm going to tell you a story. And that story is my living experience of religion and feminism. I was lucky to have been born and brought up in Montego Bay, Jamaica. And I say I was lucky because growing up there, I could see images of myself in all walks of life. And if I drove down the road along the high street, even the adverts in the windows, I could see images of myself, so that I knew that I was real. But as a little girl growing up, my aunt, if she heard us playing too loudly outside, would call us in and said we were making too much noise, and we had to come in to read the Bible. Of course, we didn't want to. But we did, we were obedient. And as a little girl reading the Bible at a very early age, I became aware, as it were, of this thing, and I'm going to put it in inverted commas, religion or faith. And my experience of that was sometimes, wow, does this really happen? So, for example, in the Old Testament, there is Vashti. Vashti was the queen, and the king is throwing a party, and the kings and his friends decided that they would get Vashti, the queen, to come and dance for them. And the queen said, absolutely not. I will not come and dance and parade before you drunken men. And the king said, okay. But the king's friends says, oh, you can't do that. What will our wives think if your wife behaved like that? And so the king gets rid of his queen and gets another one. And even from a small child, I recognized that there was something not right about that. And I also recognized, as I read other bits of the Bible as a young child, that there in that same book, I was being told that there is this God of love, and there is this God who created me, and that I was as important. I was made in this God's image. And I rather fancied that. I fancied that because there was difficulties in my childhood. And so I connected with this God of love and wanted more and more of it. So although I could see the challenges in that book that says it is Holy Scripture, I wasn't about to let go of that good thing that I thought I was getting. And one of the challenges for me was, how do I reconcile this good thing that I'm feeling, that I'm experiencing, and this other bit that is rather negative, that says, men are more important than women, or boys than girls. And I must tell you, I didn't believe that. So it seems to me that as we grow up with various propositions, we cannot just simply allow ourselves to believe what we're told. We need to get to that place where we question and we challenge. And one of my favorite passages of Scripture says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, strength, and your mind. And that gives me permission. It gives me permission to question, to say, actually, hell no, I don't believe that. Or that is wrong.
Point of information.
Yes.
Is it in religion's nature to be questioning? Is not the meaning of Islam quite literally submission? In Christianity, this is a catechetical religion, in which we expect, whether you're Protestant or Catholic, we drill young people with rules and creeds, a creedal religion, creeds of faith, and you're saying now question.
Absolutely, I am saying questioning. I want to differentiate what man has created. I'm not worshiping what man has created. I'm worshiping what I believe God has created and wants for me. So I want everyone to question and to challenge. And I think that God is big enough. And if God isn't big enough for our questioning and our challenge, then we need a different God, frankly. So for me, wrestling with that was very important. And then I got to the stage as I got older and discovered that I was being called to ministry. And I looked around me, and there were no women in leadership roles. As women, we cleaned the church. We did the altar. We could dust it and sweep it. We could put the flowers up. We could make the tea and the coffee, but we couldn't stand behind the altar. And so I sort of had a conversation with my bishop, organized. Rose, he said, we're Anglicans. We don't do that. I smiled to myself because I thought, you may not do that, and the church may not do that, but I know that God does that. And so I made a little pact with God that I would be faithful. And when the church was ready to say yes, when the church was ready to listen to the Spirit, then I would be ready too. And from the age of 14 until I was 33, when the church said yes. A long time to wait. So I have a little mantra that I hold. The mantra says that the circumstances that surrounds a person, it's Booker T. Washington, African-American, the quote comes from. The circumstances that surrounds a person is not important. What is important is how that person responds. And I hold that dearly. So although I may be part of an organized religion, there is something much deeper inside me that is what moves me, and that is what enables me to challenge when I see victimization of women and girls, when I see men behaving badly, when I see structures within our church, within our communities, within our world, treating women as if, and girls, as if they're no value. I am always willing and ready to challenge that. And I also know that in reading my scriptures, that actually, yes, I believe they're holy scriptures, but I also know that I am not prepared to take it literally, because after all, it was written by, there are stories about a particular peoples, about particular context, and I would be foolish to pick it up and think, this is how I must do it. It doesn't happen that way. So I do believe that religion and the feminism can be compatible. It is how we respond and how we live. Thank you.